Episode 98, Boomer Guitar Sessions. This is Rod. Today we are looking at one more essential scale. We'll be looking at more essential scales in the future. I don't know what I'm trying to imply there. But today's essential scale is a super useful one. Like the Dorian, it is a mode of the major scale. And remember what I say when I say this, not all modes of the major scale are created equally. I think some are more important than others. The Mixolydian scale is one of those. The Dorian scale is one of those. Those are very important scales, very important modes of the major scale, but they should be studied as scales in their own right, and that's what we're going to do today. So with that said, what is the Mixolydian? Okay, so now take yourself back to, if you're a Gen X or Boomer, even whatever, if you're out of school, you're back in your high school music class and they told you there's major sounds and there's minor sounds. There's major sounds and your minor sounds, and that's all they ever told you in your high school music theory class, in your high school class, and that's all they know about. That's all they think about, because all they think about is concert music and show tunes and all this other stuff. That was the school I grew up in. Okay, and school, and it's not just school, it's colleges were the same way. It's major and minor. Well, there's a third tonality. The third tonality is what we call the dominant tonality. I learned this from Joe Pass. He's absolutely right. He didn't invent it. I just learned it from him. Okay, three kinds of tonalities. You have major, you have minor, and you have dominant. For major, we've already talked about major. The mother scale for major is the major scale. All things major go to the major scale, and that is your mother scale. Major pentatonic we can talk about as it relates to the major scale. Minor is the natural minor scale. Okay, the third tonality, which is the most fun because nobody knows anything about it in schools, and this is the stuff we all listen to, is the dominant tonality. And the dominant tonality, when you have a dominant tonality, you have a progression that I can play that one chord. It's a dominant seventh. Like in a major key, major minor key thing, this chord needs to be resolved to a tonic. Okay? In dominant playing, which is blues, which is funk, which is R&B, which is jazz, which is work songs, which is lots of stuff. It just didn't come from Europe. This is lots of stuff. It's James Brown, it's Creedence Clearwater Revival, it's the Meters, it is lots of funk, lots of blues, lots of pop, lots of classic rock. All right, that is your dominant sound. Okay, the mother scale for all things dominant is the Mixolydian scale. Okay, and really, well, that's what we're going to talk about. Three different ways in which we can view the Mixolydian scale. Okay, in the case of this lesson, everything's going to be done in the key of G Mixolydian. So what is G Mixolydian? What is the Mixolydian scale? There's three different ways in which I think about the Mixolydian scale, and I encourage you to too. It is, the first one is that Mixolydian scale, pattern of half steps and whole steps. The formula, the scale formula, which is going to be a whole step. If I start on a G, which is open G, I go whole step, half step. There's your whole step, half step. Then it's going to be two whole steps, followed by a half step, followed by a whole step. So whole step, half step. Two more whole steps, followed by a half step, followed by a whole step. Now you can take that formula, and for those of you who like math and you want to figure this out in any key, that's your formula to do it with. G Mixolydian There's no sharps or flats. Okay, so it's just a G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, how do I know that? Because these are the tools we play with. This is what we do. This is, you know, your recipes if you're into this. All right, so that's the first way to think about the Mixolydian. The second way to think about the Mixolydian for me is it is the fifth mode of the major scale. So we talk about the modes of the major scale, which I had a lesson in, an earlier lesson in, demystifying the modes. Okay, the Mixolydian mode, if we start that C major scale off of the fifth note, so C, D, E, F, G, it's our G note. If I start and I play the exact same notes, but the point of origin, the scale of origin, the key center is no longer on C. All the sounds gravitate towards G. That key center is what that's called. That's what our ear hears. All right? That's G Mixolydian. Sounds like a completely different scale. That sounds kind of familiar, but then it deviates off of it. What is that? That is the characteristic sound of the Mixolydian. Now I want to talk a little bit about all these scales, like the Dorian, the Mixolydian. They're like, the Mixolydian is like the major scale. And the third way we're going to talk about how we can define the Mixolydian scale. The third way we can talk about it, it's like the major scale, but if you flat the seventh degree, then you have the Mixolydian scale. So if I play one like in G Mixolydian or G major, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, that T becomes a te. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, te, do. So that is the way that is the way that I often think about it. I don't think necessarily that much about it in as it relates to a C major, but that can be useful too. All of these ways can be useful. All right, now where do we use the Mixolydian? There is, okay, so first thing about Mixolydian, like the Dorian, a lot of this is in R&B and in blues sounds and in kind of like kind of improvisational kind of styles. One of the things we have in funk and in rhythm and blues and in jazz are these things called vamps. You might have 36 measures of that in a vamp. We're just playing the same pattern. That's the first way. Something that is dominant seventh based, like a 1-chord vamp or even a 2-chord vamp. I could go. These are still, these are dominant seventh. Anything that is the dominant seventh sound, that is Mixolydian. All right. Anything bluesy, the 12-bar blues, if it has dominant seventh chords, that's Mixolydian as well. Okay, lots of things we can do with it, lots of things we can mix with the Mixolydian, but the Mixolydian is the blues. Anyway, with that said, another way we can see the Mixolydian as some characteristic chords within the Mixolydian scale that make it Mixolydian. We have the 1 chord. If the 1 chord is major and the 7 chord is flattened and major, that is Mixolydian. And that's probably the most common, next to the playing the dominant seventh stuff and the blues stuff, that's probably the most common way you're going to see the Mixolydian. That's where we have the Sweet Home Alabama. That's how we have it. Okay? That's how we have Gloria. All of these songs are Mixolydian. So the flat 7 is your D. 1, flat 7, 4. So, okay. So with that said, that's a lot of stuff. That's like, down to the paradise city where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. That's Mixolydian. Sweet Child of Mine. Yeah, smile that it seems to me. Flat 7. Mixolydian. All right? All right. So with that said, what do we need to do? What do we need to do? One more progression. One more progression. I don't want to forget this. If we're playing in the key of G, if the 5 chord is minor, that's a characteristic chord that you'll sometimes see. Kind of like, to me, this reminds me of kind of Dead, Grateful Dead kind of. Chris Isaac, Wicked Game. Okay. But it reminds me of some of the deep track Grateful Dead songs. Chris Isaac, a Wicked Game. I don't know, lots of songs, but that is not as common as the other one, but it should be noted. All right, those are 3 ways in which we can 3 or 4 ways if we count the blues, which Mixolydian is, where it can be found. What do we need to work on? We need to work on getting some scale fingers together, first of all. All right. Now, first thing you need to know about Mixolydian that's super useful for rock musicians is a lot of times we can use this in conjunction with minor pentatonic and major pentatonic. Okay, both your pentatonics, if you have a Mixolydian progression, so for all that, we need to get some fingerings together. I'm sorry, I'm rushing it. Get some fingerings together. Okay, so here's your Mixolydian. Just take a G major scale and flatten the 7. Or and then in the lessons, you're gonna have some scale fingerings in the lessons. So in the description, check it out, download it, it's yours. All right. So that's one. Let's see. All right. right, so that is some scale fingers of Mixolydian. So working around some. Mixolydian. Next thing we can do is just, okay, so what I often do is I'm always, if I'm not making this fun, I'm not getting as much out of it. I want to make it fun. So I'm just going to play some of my for me, all of these modes, we should go horizontal. We should go vertical. So this to me is groundbreaking. Okay, so now scale fingerings, finding scale fingerings, mixing pentatonics with it, major and minor pentatonic. Having fun with it. Create melodies, but also create things that can't be transcribed. Like when you listen to Jeff Beck, the stuff that he does, it's really cool. It's like the way he created it has nothing to do with written notes on a printed page. You got to let go a little bit and get creative and be a little wacky, okay, with it. All right, next thing we can do is, okay, let's take a look at the one. When I say the one, in the case of G Mixolydian, that's my minor 7, that's my minor 9. That is your dominant 7th. Throwing that into your improvisation. All right. Next, we're not stuck with just playing the tonic. We want to extend the arpeggios. We want to be able to play other stuff. Now, there's lots and lots of things we can do, but these are just things to get you started and to expand your brain on what is possible with Mixolydian. So instead of playing G7, I can do D minor, D minor 7, and that sounds, and then I create melodies based off of that. So like scale tones, pentatonics. F major 7. F major 7. Also learning some melodies that you know are Mixolydian melodies. Okay, Mixolydian melodies. Let's see. What other Mixolydian melodies? Too Much Time on My Hands by Styx. Lots of melodies. Anyway, with that said, play over backing tracks vertically, horizontally, mixing the pentatonics in with them, major and minor pentatonics. Okay, next thing is, along with the dominant, we talked about the Chuck Berry scale, we can put that into our, these are all ingredients we can throw into our dominant playing. Get Angus Young on. Anyway, hope this has opened your eyes up to, I don't know how new of a tonality it is. It's older than I am, way older than I am, but people aren't as smart about it. They don't understand it as much. To me, this is my favorite thing to teach because of that, because we live in a world that just, like a lot of our music educators are major and minor. Everything came from Europe. No, it did not. It came from the cotton fields. It came from the cities. It came from New Orleans. It came from the islands. Okay, It came from Congo Square. It came from everywhere. This is a lesson in cultural diversity, melody. I'm taking and stealing from lots of different sources, and I hope you do too. Hope you enjoy the process, and I know you can do this. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Tell me what you got out of it. Actually, here's the deal. Record yourself. You put out a video of you doing what we were talking about here, and then put it in the link below. All right? This is Rod, Boomer Guitar Sessions, Mixolydian, Essential Scale, Greatness. I believe in you. See you next time. Hi, this is Rod from Boomer Guitar Sessions. I personally wanted to thank you for being part of our community. If you like what we're doing here and you want to see more of it, please hit the like, subscribe, and share. And this helps me spread my musical messages to all over the world. Thank you. I appreciate you. And always remember, you can do this.